Hi again then guys, and welcome to another flashback to the Drive Club lineup of vehicles, this time to look at, of course, a car which everybody fell in love with when it first came out around 2012, the Mercedes C63 AMG Black Series. Ironically, most often seen in this kind of goldish yellow, an iconic colour for the car, stunning looking vehicle as well, has some maybe DTM kind of vibes to the look as well, which of course is appropriate from Mercedes, and there are very few titles that can really evoke the word badass as much as Black Series AMG. Those three words put together pretty much turn on any petrol head. And if you think of every single one that Mercedes has done, from the SLK Black, the CLK 63 Black, this one, the C63, the SLS Black Series, and of course, probably the most unicorn status of them all, the SL65 Black, they are all cars which are instant classics, cult classics for sure, absolutely great collector's pieces which deserve to be up there with stuff like the SLS, the SLR, and even the CLK GTR in the Mercedes pantheon of performance. But at the same time, there are a number of drawbacks to these cars in games. And to highlight that potential drawback, I would actually go so far as to compare this vehicle in particular to my car, which is a Touareg, a Volkswagen Touareg V10 TDI. Now, this is probably the only video you'll ever watch which will compare a Touareg V10 to a C63 Black Series, but the reason why I think they are so similar is because on paper, the cars aren't necessarily as badass as they feel when you drive them. These Black Series AMGs, for instance, are not necessarily always the fastest in class. They're certainly not always the fastest around a track. They're often very heavy. They have a lot more torque than power, which is just like my diesel. But the way in which I think they're so similar is that, just like all of the things I just said, the Touareg is not the kind of SUV that you try to beat a lap record with, or even necessarily have a drag race with someone with. Likewise with the Black Series car, there are tons of other performance cars that can outrun them in a straight line, or that can beat them around a track. That's not really the point. It's the kind of performance which you don't necessarily even need to use to actually enjoy. It's knowing that that performance is there under the bonnet that just puts a smile on your face every time you turn the key. And that is the single biggest way in which I think this is like my car, because it's exactly like that. I don't need to drag race every boy racer that I pull up next to the lights at. Knowing inside that I can smoke most of those cars that I pull up next to is good enough for me. Likewise with the Black Series, it's not like a Nissan GTR or a Porsche 911 Turbo where they're constantly trying to, set records and make it just that fraction better than the previous facelifted version every time. These Black Series cars are, by definition, unicorns. Each one of them doesn't get more and more updates over time. It doesn't get multiple facelifts. Each of them feels like this one-off, almost homologation style machine in a funny kind of way. Some of them feel like DTM cars, some of them feel like GT machines, some of them even feel like full-on homologated supercars, like the SL65 Black. This one is a car that I think has a lot in common with a muscle car. It has huge torque, big V8, of course rear-wheel drive, it's pretty beefy, you can feel the weight of the car, you can even hear the weight of the car as you go through corners with all of that attitude that's just bursting out of it, and it's great for all of that. None of those things are downsides. And in fact, the only time that the downsides actually do come into play is, somewhat ironically, in a racing game, because the higher weight, the maybe more brutish handling of a car like this will not always get you the win. But I tell you what it will give you, a smile. So if that's what you're looking for when you drive a car in a game, definitely drive something like this. If you're looking to win every time, perhaps not so much. But it depends what you enjoy the most, winning the race or how you win the race. But that's it for this vid overall, of course. I'll see you guys next time, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.